Greetings. You're now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens to the replay. This is the vault 686. Trustee Training, Bank and Trust. Definitely excited about doing this episode. Sure, many people been waiting to hear this type of episode. This trustee training. So if you're not in trusteeship, you might not know about the conversation that we're having, but traditionally trustees get in trustee training and oh yeah, I'm up in trusteeship now, and then we move into this space of oh yeah, what do I do once I get my trust open, Trust Christian of all, what happens when I open up the trust? So we're gonna have that conversation right now. Definitely thank everybody for tuning in live, listen to replay, everybody that ever reaches out for trustee training, feel free to reach out Christian at trustchristian.com. The link is in the actual bio of the episode. You can feel free to reach out and email us. We definitely want to put out information. So many people they listen to the vote, they be like, "Oh man, Trust Christian, you be sounding upset sometimes." Like, first of all, we not upset, ladies and gentlemen. But you gotta, we share it with people from passion. Like, yeah, this is information that we know. How come other channels aren't talking about bank and trust? Why they not talking about it? Because they not living it. And what's sad is we get people that come into our sector thinking that they know more than us. So we just sharing from the heart. We sharing with passion. So we gonna share today bank and trust. This is one of the things where trustees are getting trustee training, and oh, I gotta go open up a bank account for the family estate, and then they go run to some no-name bank that can't serve them. They run to the local bank that cannot serve them. I went to the company. It's a bank and trust though. Everybody, like, so many people. I'm gonna go with the bank that says bank and trust. That does not mean that it's a trust expert bank. That's not what it means, Trust Christian. No. How come your major financial institutions don't have bank and trust on it? What makes you think they don't deal with trust? It's a lot of it is just not knowing. Some people don't know that bank and trust is just the name of the company. Doesn't mean that they specialize in trust. Doesn't mean they're experts in trust. Doesn't mean they're experts in private. Doesn't mean they're experts in foundations. Doesn't mean that. It just says they have banking trust on the company. Don't say it like that, Trust Christian Vault. I thought they would be trust experts. It says banking trust on the title. They can't handle my type of trust. Well, we've had trustees going to these banks. And these banks, what do they tell the trustees? We're not familiar with that. We don't know how to do that. They'll tell trustees, oh, we need more documentation. We need this, we need that. But in all actuality, when they go to some of the bigger institutions that understand privacy, not some little community bank, these are equivalent of your community banks. These are the equivalent of your credit unions. This isn't financial advice or legal advice. It's just you gotta do some research on it. Why? Because bank and trust does not imply that they are experts or they know how to help you manage your estate. It just says they have that in the title. Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. I need to go to a bank that's easy to get a bank account with. Okay. Just because you go open up a bank account at a banking trust, does that mean you're going to get better service than you are at a major financial institution? No. Not only that, trustees ask all the time, well, how do I get credit on a trust? Right. So why would you go to a banking trust, which is a smaller financial institution, instead of going to a bigger financial institution that understands trust and they have a part of the branch of the bank that actually deals with those entities. And they can extend credit to those entities because they're familiar with those entities. But so many, oh man, I'm trying to just get a bank account open the easy way. So we're going to give you an example of what it looks like mentality wise. So one of the mentors, he used to always tell us, Trust Christian, get lawyers that you can't afford. You'd be like, oh man, Trust Christian, what do you mean get lawyers you can't afford? Mentor would say, get accountants you can't afford. What do you mean? Oh man, Trust Christian, I'm just starting out in trust. How am I going to do everything right? You got to get mentor. You got to get accountants and people that you can't afford. I don't know how to do that, Trust Christian Vote. I don't know. I'm working a job. I don't know how to do that. I mean, these are the different type of conversations that we've had throughout the past. Trust Christian, I'm not trying to walk into a JP Morgan. I'm going to get laughed out. I'm not trying to go into an investment bank because an investment bank is just that, an investment bank. Go ahead and pull up for y'all how much traditionally investment banks want y'all to actually have in the account. How much money does an investment bank actually want on average for you to go into the bank? Alrighty. The average amount that the bank wants you to come in with the first year an investment bank, how much does an investment bank actually want to open up an account? Yeah, make sure we got it right. Want to open an account. Excuse us. So a lot of trustees will come and they'll say, "Oh, I'm trying to open up a bank account with this bank." Okay, but did you? Investment banks don't typically open accounts for individuals in the same way a retail bank. So when you get trustees asking, "Hey, you know, I gotta open up a personal account," it's not a personal account. They primarily work with large institutional clients. Traditionally means they're making tons of capital, 50 million, 25 million, and corporations. So when trustees say, "Oh, how do I get into that institution?" Do you have a corporation? Is your corporation up and running? Then you have the trust, you have the corporation. You go in and say, "Look, these are my structures that I am working with," and now you have some legs to stand on. Some brokers require a minimum deposit at these institutions, around a few $100s to several thousand. Example, robo advisors might require a minimum deposit of $500 to $5,000 according to U.S. Bank. We're not promoting any banks in this episode, just giving y'all any type of information. Okay, but if you go to a retail bank, such as Bank and Trust, oh, I didn't know Bank and Trust is a retail establishment. Are they a national player or are they a local player? For example, Bank of America offers a checking account with a minimum of $25 opening it up. Right, but is that for trust or is that for individuals? We're not quoting them, we're not giving any information about them. This is what we're reading off the internet because that is the case. Once again, some people will talk about, "Oh, I'm trying to trade out of the trust account, Trust Christian and Vote. I'm trying to trade out of the trust account. I'm trying to trade out of the trust account." Well, Bank and Trust, are they going to be the institution that's going to help you set up an investment banking account? Trustees want to open up investment banking accounts. So the banking trust isn't going to be your ideal player. It's going to be more of your investment banking. That's who you're talking to. So we just wanted to do this episode because this banking trust situation is the shortcut. A lot of people, they reach out, they end up going through the training. We share with them about going out, opening up a bank account. And they say, "Oh, yeah, well, I got to open up a bank account for my family estate." It's not supposed to be with X, Y, and Z banking trust. I got $100,000 coming in a year. Shouldn't be with banking trust. I got $200,000 coming in from the Airbnbs too. Shouldn't be with the banking trust. We want to get away from the small banks and get to the big banks. Some people say, "Do I need to go to the bigger banks?" The bigger banks allow you a lot more flexibility and they have more knowledge about the situation and scenario that you're running through when it comes to trusteeship. And they understand the language a lot better. We've had trustees going to the bank. The bank says, "Oh, yeah, you can't do it." Call back and say, "Oh, well, if you show us this, you can get it." That's why we share trustees to call on the front end. Don't just go to the bank. Call first. Do your due diligence. Do your homework. Do they even make loans to the trust? Well, okay, we got to see the documents. Then you know you got to take in certain elements. But so many trustees, this is almost a shortcut, ladies and gentlemen. We're giving y'all a heads up. A lot of trustees ask about the banking trust thought process. And all that is just, I don't want to really have any money in the account. Why? Because if you're with most credit unions or with these banking trust accounts, Most of these banks are not holding that type of capital traditionally for one individual. Not to say that they're not, but most of them are not. Most of them do not have large depositors at those banks because those banks, traditionally credit unions, are tied to like people working jobs, and so the job may have a relationship with the credit union and things of that nature. But a bank and trust doesn't give you an advantage. Oh man, I went with it because it had trust in the name. Okay, that doesn't mean that it's more successful. Doesn't mean that it's going to be able to help you with your trust needs better. So what does that mean, Trust Christian Vault? It means that the bank put it in the title of the company, and it also means that what else does it mean? They have it in the title, and okay, if the trust is a chartered bank, it started in a trust account. There you go. It's a chartered bank in trust. You hear that? Chartered bank in trust. They just put the "and." Well, what is that supposed to mean? Is it a trust? Yes, it's a trust. It's a bank and a trust. That doesn't mean that they service trust better because they're a bank and trust. What does that mean? They might be a private trust as a bank. That means they may not be a public bank. They may not have a bunch of shareholders. Bank and trust. Maybe in private trust. Well, Trust Christian, doesn't that mean for sure they'll be able to help me out? Ladies and gentlemen, that does not mean that the founders of those banks set it up that way. Just because someone's working in a retail bank on the retail side, that's not the case. For example, you actually have to know how much money you're going to put in the bank. That's the wild part. We ask trustee, how much money you going to put in the bank? How much is the family estate going to put in the bank? Well, I don't know. Then that's going to dictate the financial institution you go with. That's what it's going to dictate. Do you know how much money you're going to go into the family estate immediately? The family trust estate immediately? Now you're supposed to have all the assets in the trust as far as the bank account goes. Trustees come to us, when am I supposed to do a distribution? Often, frequently, with a minute. But banking trust was the easy route. I'm going to go the easy route, Trust Christian Revolt. Let me go the easy route. Okay, go the easy route then. That's the case. Feel free to reach out. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. If you want to know, okay, how do I make sure that I'm going to the right institution, I have the right things to go in there with, and are you walking in there prepared? Whether that's with the doc or as well with the actual amount of money that you need. We train you to make sure you're doing business properly as a trustee and you're not doing things personally. That you're doing things with good oversight. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the Vault, episode 686. Trustee Training. What is that? Trustee Training. Banking Trust. Feel free to reach out with any questions that you have. There's not much to this situation. It's just we really wanted to share and expose that these entities traditionally that say that, they're more local banks, not bigger banks. Not to say they don't have any liquidity, not to say they don't have any capital, not to say that the trust can't open up a bank account there. It's not that. It's just one of those things where they have it in a title. Wow. What does that mean? They're going to work better for you? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And you got to make sure that you know that. So the banking trust that we talking about, Sunday Trustee Training Banking Trust, the family estate is a banking trust. But are you doing properly? Are you doing proper business with it? Are you making loans? Don't banks make loans? Or banks are just depository entities? Are banks just sending out loans? Are banks just doing deposit relationships, or they giving out loans? So is the family estate giving out loans? Are they participating in a taxable event? How you gonna loan out money and don't get no profit? That's capital gains. We appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listen, replay. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com.
And once again, don't be fooled because it says bank and trust. There's tons of banks wherever you are for trusteeship, for you to be a trustee and protect your assets.
Christian at trustchristian.com.
Peace and joy.